Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cock Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you having a good Sunday, wherever we are around the world. And welcome back to our post-match reaction, or our match reaction, I should say, to, of course, the Community Shield final, if you can class it as a final. Because, look, it is a pre-season game. Again, people will have their debates about that. But, of course, Liverpool did lose on penalty shootouts to Crystal Palace in what was a very different game of two halves. Like Liverpool first half, I thought was very, very well and very good, and there was a lot of positives, certainly in some aspects. But of course, obviously, the big question marks will be defensively. And again, I want to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Let me know, your guys' thoughts and reactions, because look, I think there is definitely some conversations needed defensively, but still, it is preseason. Look, if this is Liverpool's badish performance of the season, then again, who cares? In my honest opinion. But again, we will dive into the stats and your guys' thoughts down in the comments, of course, down below. But big up Cal as well. Hope you're doing well. Saying hello. Hopefully you're doing well. Daryl's in as well, saying that was painful on my birthday. Well, happy birthday to you. And yeah, I don't think it was that bad. I think second half, yeah, there was question marks around it, but still wasn't like the end of the world then, let's say. But smash the likes on the way in, guys. Well, yeah, very much appreciate QT. Hope you're doing well. Need to have Bottle and take Salah off. Shocking him today. So was Szoboszlai. Give the ball away consistently, and Curtis Jones and Gakpo just not good enough in my opinion as well. Again, I don't think it was that bad. Two centre backs and a number 9 for number 20, number title 21 as well. Yeah, hopefully, like that's hopefully a dream anyway at the moment. But we will dive straight into looking at the game. Of course, it was 2-2 on penalties. Obviously, did end up 3-2 on penalties. Hugo Ekitike and Arne Slot. Hugo Ekitike and Jeremy Frimpong getting the goals for Liverpool in the first half. Obviously, Mateta penalty and Sarr goal in the second half that did end up getting Palace back into the game. Of course, you guys can see the penalties if you want on FootMob, but as you guys can see, but they on the stats, obviously, overall game, Liverpool 59% possession, 1.08 on XG compared to Palace's 2.03. Total shots 14 to 12, 4 big chances compared to only Liverpool's 2, which is a bit shocking, to be fair. But again, you look at the trajectory in terms of momentum. Again, Liverpool quite heavy in the first half. Again, apart from obviously the part where Palace didn't end up getting the penalty. And again, second half, Liverpool forward-wise was non-existent, and I think we will dive into that a bit more, because I think Liverpool, especially second half, when we did lose the likes of Hugo Ekitike and when Florian Wirtz also went off as well, we did look poor, and we did. And of course, I think judging from the post-match comments from Arne Slot and the likes of Virgil van Dijk, it's quite clear that they've been, honest in saying that, look, we've lost Luis Diaz, we've lost Darwin Núñez. Liverpool need another forward to at least compete. And of course, we all hope that is the likes of Alexander Isak. And if it's not Alexander Isak, again, it looks like it's going to be Bradley Barcola that Liverpool go for as well. But again, I want to talk about first half and second half, because again, I think it is a tale of two halves, really. I do think it is two different halves completely. Again, the first half Liverpool wasn't the same as the second half Liverpool in its entirety. But again, I haven't got the slideshows, but I want to talk about Hugo Ekitike to begin with, because I thought he was excellent today. I think there's a real probably shout for him and Florian Wirtz, the two of them, to be man of the match for today. I do think, in my honest opinion, I think those two were excellent. But look, again, I know people will have different opinions, but I thought the first half in particular, Liverpool were very, very good. I thought we controlled the game, and not having the likes of Ryan Gravenberch available. Obviously, McAllister's on the bench, but having the double pivot of Curtis Jones and Dom Szoboszlai, I thought was okay in the first half. I didn't think it was that bad. I just think as the game went on, as it became a lot tougher and Liverpool wasn't controlling the game as much, again, you kind of needed that player like a Ryan Gravenberch, who is a tale of two ends, where again, some parts technically he's very, very good, and technically he will get you out of tough positions because, again, Ryan Gravenberch is very good in that position. But in other parts, I also think that somebody like, we brought on Wataru Endo. Yes, if you're winning 5-10 minutes is very good. But I think if you need that somebody that can kind of dribble your way out of a problem, again, I think Endo, again, is not your guy for that. Of course, there's nothing towards or nothing bad towards Wataru Endo, but I think that's something that Liverpool missed today, was somebody like a Ryan Gravenberch in both halves of the game. I think first half and second half, Liverpool did struggle without Ryan Gravenberch, where, again, we've seen over the last couple of months before the end of the season, where he was so pivotal in dribbling into the final third from deep. I thought we missed that type of player today because Palace was so compact and so well run as well. So again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. But for me, man of the match shouts for Liverpool. Again, I think Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, I think them two especially were very, very good as well. But Darryl says Gay looked happy. I think he stays at Palace. Was no signs or suggestions since coming to Anfield as well. There'll be conversations. I think if you watched before the game, there was a little smile from Arne Slot when he did see Mark Gahey, but still, who knows? But big up Gary as well, saying Talio or being Slot made some errors. Rio should have started. One told people about Ekitike, he will be bigger, Cop Darling, than Isak as well. Well, I think both of them will be when Isak does finally join Liverpool. But yeah, no, like I said it to you, Gary. I think, look, Liverpool, if we couldn't get Alexander Isak, should do everything possible to get Hugo Ekitike. And look, having him is brilliant, and that goal in particular, again, it was very good. I think that goal as well goes to show the quality as well of Hugo Ekitike. Again, ball control, very, very good in tight spaces, which will work against compact teams in the future. And I think when we look at the goals, and I think when people have looked at obviously the combinations and so on as well, that goal was very similar to the goal he scored against Spurs, where he cuts inside and just belted into the bottom corner. And I thought that, again, it's like it is like a prime Ekitike finish, and look, it's really, really good to see. Certainly, him getting his first start in a Liverpool shirt in terms of obviously a competitive game, if you want to call it a competitive game. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Him and Wirtz, I thought the link-up play, certainly down the left-hand side, first half was very, very good. I thought Dom playing a bit deeper, I think it works at times. I think, though, when we talk about what's Liverpool's best midfield three, I still think it is McAllister, Gravenberch, and Wirtz. We've not seen that yet throughout pre-season, but still, I think as of things right now, the midfield going into Bournemouth is probably the same midfield as today, because again, Ryan Gravenberch is suspended. Maka, has kind of suffered throughout preseason because, again, he's recovering from an injury, so his minutes have been limited as well. So it will be interesting next week to see who Arne Slot thinks. My preferred three would be McAllister for Curtis Jones and having Maka play as a 6 for now. And then, of course, we know Ryan Gravenberch will just easily slot back in as well anyway. But what else we have? Wharton is sensational. Get him in now. I think next season will be the one for Adam Wharton. I think he'll have one more season at Palace and then we'll end up leaving. Unless, of course, a team comes in for him. I think Spurs were also mentioned a couple of weeks back as well. But horrendous last 2 pens for Mo Salah, lately gone as well. Yeah, true. And look, I know people have lost their minds about the penalty shootouts. And look, don't get me wrong, it's not nice to lose, and of course it isn't. But the amount of head loss that I've seen already on social media, look, it's a preseason game. Look, like I said, if Liverpool now go on to win 38 games out of 38, we don't care about this game, and we don't. And that's the thing. It will be nice to win it, and of course it will be nice to obviously go into the season with a trophy, because again, obviously a lot of Manchester City fans, a lot of Arsenal fans, they do credit it as a big obviously it's a major trophy. If you listen to Pep Guardiola and and Mikel Arteta. Of course, for Palace, it's amazing. It's great. Again, I should have started the video saying that. It is great for them. Again, it's the first time, I think, ever a team has won the Community Shield by playing in it the first time. I think there's something like that. So again, great for them. And look, for Liverpool, it's just one of those games, isn't it? Look, you get minutes in the legs. The team looked good in the first half. Second half, there was a bit of problems around, of course, taking certain players off. But I think that is to do, again, with not having a forward. I think if Liverpool have a Darwin Núñez in that situation, I think Liverpool looked the same as the first half, really. But when we changed formation and we went more of a 4-2-2, we never looked the same in that second half. And again, that's an issue for the team and the squad. So look, for me, in an ideal world, and I know this might be mad for me to say this, but I would personally turn and go, Liverpool, to be greedy and to be, in an ideal world, still need 2 forwards and 2 defenders, I would say. Because we've just lost Luis Diaz, we've lost Darwin Núñez. Yes, if we get Alexander Isak, that's the Darwin replacement, but who replaces Luis Diaz still? And for me, I look at it and go, yes, even though Rio Ingamoa does have a bright future, I just feel like right now it would be best to even have another forward come in after that. But if Slot thinks that he can keep hold of the likes of Chiesa and obviously develop Rio Ingamoa into the team, look, then I'm all for it. But I don't know, just to be greedy, I would say 2 more forwards and 2 defenders. But obviously, we've had a mental transfer window so far. Big up Ian as well, saying we are far too easy to get at. Mo and Verge, and Mo had a game to forget, and we need to start keeping clean sheets as well. I would agree. I absolutely agree. Of course, I was just on with Jack on Anfield Index, and I absolutely agreed. I think Virgil had a bit of a stinker. First goal, of course, the penalty is Virgil van Dijk's fault. But again, obviously, in another situation, Virgil ends up winning the ball, and we'd say, it's a great tackle from Virg. But look, it's still preseason, and I know people go like, oh, Mo's had a shocker, this and the other. Mo's had terrible preseasons in the past, and then gone on to have amazing seasons. So the only thing I would say to that is just chill out a bit to certain individuals, because people go crazy about this type of game. Look, if Mo Salah has an absolute stinker now throughout the season, of course, then you can criticize. But look, it's pre-season. At the end of the day, next week, if Mo still has the same type of performance, then maybe then you start talking about it. But as of things right now, it's pre-season. Who cares? I've been concerned all pre-season with our defence. In terms of the numbers, we need to start keeping clean sheets. We are easy to get at as well. I would agree. I think the left-hand side, today especially, I think we... Of course, Van Dijk and Kirkes have only played 3 games together. Unlike, Van Dijk and Andy Robertson, for example, that have spent the last, 7 years together on that side. I look at it and I do look at it, and my honest opinion is that obviously that partnership will develop even more. But of course, throughout time and throughout obviously development and working together, that side will become even better, I think, over time. But of course, 2 new fullbacks. I thought Jeremy Frimpong had a really, really good game as well. Of course, getting the second goal as well, which was kind of a down from heaven moment, when Liverpool scored on the 20th minute and 20 seconds, obviously for Diogo Jota. I thought that was kind of nice and cool, to be fair. But, as of things right now, I think, of course, it's concerning defensively. But I think once Liverpool have their full 11 out there, then, look, I think that'll be the moment. Then we look at it and go, okay, what can we do to improve things? But 0 minutes for Rio today. That tells me that Slots probably won't use him that much in the Prem. I think he will. He has to, really, because we don't really have an option there apart from Ekitike, but Ekitike is our currently our striker. So at the minute, you kind of have to use Gakpo and Rio Ingamoa as well. But Casas agreed. Isaac is coming, at least confirmed. Lol as well. It's not been confirmed as of yet, unfortunately. I'd love it to be confirmed, but as of things right now, it's not at the present moment in time. Gakpo needs to watch himself, Con. In terms of minutes, yeah, I would agree. I think Liverpool can't risk to to have him overwork himself, because again, all right, when we had Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz, again, you've got top quality players there and then, but now we've only got Cody, and that's a potential problem for us for sure. Anyway, but going back onto the stats then, as you guys can see, but they obviously in the first half, Liverpool had 65% possession of the ball, Palace only 35%, but again on XG, had a better XG than Liverpool, even though Liverpool did have 2 goals as well. But I think when you look at the difference between the first and the second half, of course, obviously the stats for the first half, but I think you go on and look at the second half, where again the possession creeps a bit up for Crystal Palace. Liverpool only having 54% of the ball. XG wise, again, Palace outdoing Liverpool, and again, total shots 9 compared to 8, 3 shots on target each, but big chances 3 for Palace and 2 for Liverpool. And I think really when we look at the obviously the stats, you guys can obviously go and look yourselves as well. If you look at that metric again, obviously in terms of the goals, Palace outdoing Liverpool once again. And I feel like the second half we really did fall apart, where Hugo Ekitike did come off the pitch and we didn't have that person leading the line. We didn't have somebody counter pressing like we did as a striker, like similar to, again, like I mentioned, in terms of having a Darwin Núñez there. I do think when we went to this 4-2-2, or it was kind of like a 4-4-2-4, and a bit more proper in that sense, where again we went to the double 10s with Dominic Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz. Now, I think in games where it's against an Arsenal away or Manchester City away, I think you can do the double 10s. I think you can do Florian Wirtz. I think you can do Dom Szoboszlai and play in that way. But I think when you're playing such a good counter-attacking team in Crystal Palace, that again, in terms of the long balls, they're one of the best teams at doing that. And also with their wing backs, I think you saw at times where Cody Gakpo was pretty much stuck alongside Muniz, sorry, in terms of their right back. I think that was pivotal in how Palace were very, very good. Again, Milos Kirk as well getting caught a couple of times with tracking, the inside of Sarr, or again Mateta trying to go out wide, and then obviously the overload in terms of the wing back as well. I think both were a bit struggling in that sense. And I think look, the two having the 4-2-4, it didn't work against Palace, in my opinion anyway. It didn't work. And look, I think what we did in the first half, obviously playing the 4-2-3-1 and playing obviously our normal style, I think we looked a lot better. But I think when we switched it then tactically, I think we did look poor. I think Slot would also admit that as well. But also as well, I think a Liverpool had a striker on the pitch. I don't think we do that. I think we would have stuck with what we had and we would have gone for it. Absolutely. But I read the one out. Big up Cameras one saying, concerned for this season with so many changes and a leaky defense as well. I'm not as of yet. Look, again, it's still preseason. Like, this is the thing. I would much rather this happen, because then Slot knows how to change it and how to fix it. Because again, people have kind of forget we lost, and I'll always go back to that preseason of us losing all of our games. Obviously, when we won the league with Klopp back in 1920, in many preseason games, well, we lost under Jurgen Klopp, and we had amazing seasons. Like I think even in the campaign where we nearly did the quadruple, I think we only won 2 out of 5 preseason games in that summer as well. So I don't mind that. I don't mind if we do things now that ultimately will make us better long term over the season. That's my honest opinion. But I know people obviously want the results and want Liverpool to win the Community Shield, and obviously right now, obviously Arsenal fans and Man City fans will go on about it. To be honest, I'm not asked. It's great for Crystal Palace. Happy for them. But at the moment, I don't really care too much about it. But of course, next week against Bournemouth, if the same things are popping up, that's then the right time to be concerned. In my opinion, at least, anyway. Suppose they kept losing the ball cheaply as well in the second half. Yeah, I also thought Curtis Jones did as well, but I thought Dom in the first half was very good. I did think Dom was good in the first half. Had to run for a min. No worries, Casey. I don't know. I hope complacency doesn't creep in because we won the league. We've seen that with Jurgen's side as well. Yeah, true. But look, Liverpool's defensive problems, I don't think will be a proper problem for us in the season. I think the big thing, I think, is just transition. Again, I think we saw it against Atletico Bilbao where we shoved too many players forward and we got caught on the break. I think that might be the same thing that we might have to obviously look at. But right today wasn't pre-season, by the way. The teams were picked as well. The team's not always picked, QT. But maybe I'm thinking too much into it or not. No, I think some people will say that look, Liverpool should have done this, should have done that. I think it's a good thing to look at what we did wrong. But again, I wouldn't take it too much into heart. And that's just my opinion. But look, I could be wrong in that sense as well. But we were good until the 60th minute. Then we fell apart. Absolutely agree with that. Again, when Ekatike went off, we are short up front and defence. VVD said it also after the game. Yeah, he did. He did also say that. So, look, he's been brutally honest. And I think all of us know, don't we, really, that we are one, if not two, short up top, and we are at least one short at the back. And I think Liverpool over the next week will hopefully try and rectify that. Of course, Newcastle are trying to get their striker in. I think once they've got Wieser in, I think Liverpool are going to accelerate the Isak deal. And they're going to put money on the table and obviously say that, look, we want to get this deal over the line. We want Isak now. Because look, at the end of the day, as of things right now, in my honest opinion, if, say, for example, we had to bring it, or at least by next week, we have a deal agreed for Isak, he's not gonna, he's not gonna turn around and say like, oh, he's not gonna be available for Bournemouth, and then against Newcastle, he's gonna be on the bench. If he is gonna join next week. So look, I think as of things right now, it's obviously for Bournemouth, we are lacking attacking options, but hopefully for Newcastle, it'll be all fine and good anyway. But pick up Kev as well, saying, as a Liverpool fan, definitely seemed to be the pattern with we always sent our receiving teams as sin before we play PSG at home. We went out on penalties. Well, yeah, very true. QT says, what am I saying? Slot didn't take today as preseason. Both teams went for it, but we made errors. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we went for it, but I think Slot said it. The performances he saw were also good in some senses as well. Ozan says, I think Isak is already a done deal, Con. They just want to hold him longer. He doesn't play against them at St James's Park on match day 2. I think as of right now, they need replacements, don't they? They're looking at Samu from Porto. They're looking at obviously Wieser. They're looking at Ollie Watkins as well. I think is another option that was spoken about. But yeah, I think as of right now, I think Liverpool will get at least one forward in. Absolutely. Whether or not that's Isak or Barcola, who the hell knows at this point anyway. But look, I am going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Big thank you for everyone for tuning in. Like we said, we'll be back tomorrow for another episode anyway. Obviously, keep your eyes out for clips on the channel as well. We'll have clips from Arne Sloot's press conference, of course. Anything he has said in that, we'll obviously have it up on the channel, of course, as well. Hopefully, tomorrow we will have good news about transfers, or Isak, about hopefully anything. But yeah, obviously disappointment that we didn't win the Community Shield, but still, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, if this is the bad performance of the season, then who will care at the end of next May anyway. But look, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your Sundays anyway. If you are new around here, please do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We are on the road for 4.3k as well. The road, hopefully at some point, will be to get 5k next season as well. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens anyway. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it from me. I've been Connor from the Cock Council. I'll see you guys a bit later on. Ta-ra.